Welcome to Hazy 2 Clear TV from Buffalo, New York. I'm Josh Veronica. Today I'm joined by John Core, Chris Gomer, Brad Schober, and Ryan Hillary. Our topic today is the Republican presidential candidate in 2016. The Conservative Political Action Conference just finished up. Their straw poll, which is a big indicator of how the party's feeling on certain people at the time, was taken. Rand Paul won that for his second time. Historically, Mitt Romney has the most wins of that straw poll with 4. We know he was just on the ticket in 2012. Ronald Reagan and Jack Kemp both won 3 times. Ronald Reagan, obviously we know, was the president. Jack Kemp was the vice presidential candidate with Bob Dole in 1996. And Rand Paul is tied with his father in second place with 2 wins. Brad, what does this straw poll indicate as far as who the candidate might be in 2016?
Well, looking at CPAC as a whole, I believe it was 46% of the people who actually go to CPAC between the ages of 18 and 26. So CPAC draws a lot of the younger crowd. So the Pauls, Ran and Ron, have both done very well with the younger crowd in the Republican Party. So this is definitely a very good representation that the younger people, the younger Republicans, generally definitely want to see Rand Paul. However, looking at CPAC as a whole, you also saw a lot of people who didn't make a big name for themselves in the straw poll. Like Chris Christie, he kind of made up a little. He didn't do so well in the straw poll. He took 4th behind Cruz was 2nd, and Ben Carson, the former neurosurgeon, in 3rd. But he got a standing ovation for his, and then everyone's favorite presidential candidate from 2008, Sarah Palin, came in, and she was the keynote speaker at CPAC, and her speech definitely aroused the conservative crowd, making fun of different congressional members and Barack Obama himself, while doing it in a rhyming tone that mirrored Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss.
Now, Ryan, what's your prediction for the 2016 candidate?
I don't really have a prediction right now, but who I'd like to see run would be Marco Rubio, a younger Hispanic male who is in great favor of a great immigration reform, which I'm in support of, and his plan for that would be a very good thing. He's very energetic, like one of my favorite presidents, Ronald Reagan, was a very energetic, wonderful speaker, and he really spoke to the people, and I think Marco Rubio speaks to the people in that sense, and appealing to the Hispanic base, which people consider the Republican Party as this old white male party, and he definitely destroys that stereotype. And he came over and he was from a poor family, and his family was not from here, and he made his way, and he's making a great name for himself, and I really would like to see him run and possibly get the nod from the Republican Party.
Chris, who would you like to see run?
Like Ryan, I don't really have a candidate at the moment that I'm really going for, but I think Christie wouldn't be a bad candidate. I mean, obviously he plays more of a central role. He appeals to both sides. The thing with Christie though, he has some issues. He would have some issues running, obviously, with his appearance. I mean, fundamentally, it wouldn't affect his role as a president, but obviously, politics is appearance and presentation. So, I mean, that would definitely have an effect on the election. So whether he could overcome that would be interesting to see. So.
And John, would you like to be heard on that?
First of all, going back to CPAC, I have to admit, sometimes it does give a good indication on who's going to run as a Republican candidate in the next election. However, I don't believe that CPAC will give us a direct answer on who will be the Republican candidate. I mean, we see a lot of good politicians there, and who knows what can happen in the next 2 years. But personally, I would like to see Bobby Jindal, the governor from Louisiana. He's kind of like Marco Rubio in the sense that his family, he doesn't have long ties in America. He's from Indian descent, and he he has a very strong family background, and what he's done in Louisiana, and he's dealt with the oil spill, I believe, back in 2009, 2010, and he knows what Obama has done wrong the past 8 years. Obama went down to Louisiana to kind of help out the same way that he did with Christie during Hurricane Sandy, and the first thing that President Obama does is when he gets in Louisiana is goes up to Bobby Jindal and says, you know, you let unemployed workers who worked for these gasoline industries to go on food stamps since they were unemployed because of the whole oil spill. And Bobby Jindal was kind of caught off guard. He didn't understand why President Obama would say such a thing, and it's I believe that he will bring a lot of enthusiasm to the board, and I don't think a lot of people, you know, some people do know about Bobby Jindal and others don't, but I can definitely say I'll be very excited to see what he does in the next 2 years.
Personally, I'd like to see Rand Paul get the nomination. I think he's just basically he's the different candidate. You know, he's not your typical senator, your typical politician. He provides a different just perspective to it. You mentioned one of the reasons he might have won the straw poll is because CPAC is, you know, predominantly young people. But that's, you know, that's an age group that's very strongly Democratic in our country. Rand Paul definitely appeals to that age group, and that's a lot of key votes the Republicans can get. Also, we know he's a libertarian. He's not as far to the right, which means more of those independents or even some not so faithful Democrats, he might take their votes. Whereas Ted Cruz, as great of a Republican as he might be, you know, he's not going to get any votes from moderates or anyone who's on the fence. I think Rand Paul is very moderate. He's got, you know, just a different personality to him. He's got a lot of audacity. He says what's on his mind. He says what he thinks is right. And, you know, he's not going to stop until justice is served. I think Rand Paul is a great candidate. Another interesting thing at CPAC, we see the top two people in the straw poll are Rand Paul, who, as I mentioned, is a libertarian, and Ted Cruz, who's kind of taken over the Tea Party, who's just, you know, very far right on the spectrum. So, you know, those are both Republicans, but two very different types of Republicans. So what does CPAC say about the direction of the Republican Party?
I think you brought up a great point when you're talking about Rand Paul, about how he's a different perspective and he's doing something different than what the party has done before. When you look at our past two presidential candidates in McCain and Romney, they're both those kind of politician people. I mean, Romney had that business background with the money, but he was stereotyped as what our party is, and we really do need to break that stereotype because we're a party for the middle class, we're a party for the people, and in doing something, we need to move away from that. And what I was saying about Marco Rubio and building the base for the Hispanic population, because we lost a large vote to Barack Obama with the Hispanic population. And definitely, we need to move in that direction with the different thinkers. And I mean, I think Rand Paul is a great thing for that, and Marco Rubio and Bobby Jindal. Ted Cruz he's an extreme conservative. Many people stereotype the Tea Party as the party that's destroying Congress, and I think Ted Cruz may be good for who he is and what he tries to be, but he's not the face of the Republican Party, and we need to move away from people like that.
I mean, despite how talented of a politician they may be, or, you know, how strongly conservative they may be, I think it's important to consider the probability of the nation actually coming together and electing them to the White House. And personally, I think Rand Paul puts us in the best position for that. We're out of time for today. Thank you for watching Hazy 2 Clear TV.